Let's be honest, shall we? Being interested in the audio hobby, the industry tries to sell you a lot of crap. Magic rocks, magic cables, balanced versus single-ended, on and on and on and on. I've been particularly interested in DACs, or digital to analog converters, over the last couple of days, largely because of this same idea. Are you really getting your money's worth by spending more than $100 or $200 on a DAC? For those of you interested in the short answer, maybe, but probably not. To begin with, I looked at a small collection of DACs ranging from $90 to $500 in price, from SMSL and shit. In particular, the SMSL Sanskrit 10th, Madi 3, SMSL SU8, and the shit Bifrost Multibit. I took the DACs to a local repair shop run by an electrical engineer who designed home stereo products for Onkyo and Marantz, also known as my dad. We hooked the DACs up to a distortion analyzer running test sine waves from a laptop over USB, as well as test signals from a digital signal generator over an SPDIF connection. Here's the results. None of the DACs were measured at the distortion levels they were advertised. As a caveat to that, I should note I was running a 16-bit wave as opposed to a 24-bit, which may alter the results. The units that came closest to them were the cheapest units, the shit Madi and the Sanskrit 10th. The SU8 and Bifrost departed significantly from the reported measurements on the DAC's webpage. Whether those departures from distortion actually matter audibly is a different issue. Next, we put a square wave through the units running 100 Hz, 400 Hz, 1 kHz, and 5.5 kHz square waves through each of the DACs. This was through an audio CD hooked up over a coaxial connection. The shape of the resulting wave tells us a bit about how the DAC was engineered. You see, a square wave is an extreme test. Essentially, the DAC needs to go from 0 to max output, or also called the steady state, instantaneously to perfectly recreate the square wave. But that's not really within the bounds of reality for our hardware. So the DAC needs to react so quickly it might overshoot the target level and has to compensate to reach the correct steady state by settling in. Or the DAC purposefully slows its acceleration to reach the correct level so as not to overshoot, but taking longer to reach the appropriate steady state level. What does this mean for a listener? Overshooting tends to result in an overemphasized treble, while slower acceleration tends to result in an underemphasized treble. Of the DACs we looked at, all of them preferred to overshoot. Granted, they did it in very different ways. So how did they sound? How did all of this science, measurement, and theory affect the listener? In the end, not very much, if at all. Running different DACs and replaying a set list of songs, myself and several other listeners had a hard time distinguishing one DAC from another, tested on a system using Sound Lab electrostatic speakers for the drivers. Let's look at this from the point of view of someone without near limitless funding. Can I hear a difference between a Koss Porta Pro and a Fostex THX00? Yes. Can I hear a difference between a Lox GP20 hybrid tube amp and a THX789? Most definitely. Can I hear a difference between a Sanskrit 10th and a Bifrost Multibit? Barely, if any, difference can be heard. You don't need to splurge on DACs. Just buy the cheapest, competently built DAC with the features you need. Do you need a remote? Do you need balanced out? Do you need to change the output voltage? Do you need something with a smaller footprint? Consider those things, start checking off your boxes, and look for the budget solution. Save the money you would have spent on a more expensive DAC and put it towards a new set of headphones, or speakers, or a new amp, or even, most preferably, just buy more music, movies, or games to enjoy. Instead of maximizing the cost of your system, think about the way the system serves your enjoyment of what you're listening to, and prioritize the bulk of your investment in that direction. Don't be charmed into thinking that spending $3,000 on a DAC will yield $3,000 of enjoyment out of your system. For 99% of you, that kind of math just doesn't add up.